6 tips for student athletes to achieve academic success. What's up, everybody? What's going on? First off, if you have no idea who I am, your first question is going to be, why do I think I have the credibility to talk on this subject? A quick little bio about me. My name is Browne. I played college ball at USC and Pittsburgh. I was the top quarterback recruit in the country coming out of high school in 2013. And to be quite frank, my college football career was a disaster. Things didn't pan out. I didn't get the job done. It didn't work out for me. But I'm 25 right now. I have a 9-to-5 job. I still don't know exactly what I want to do, but I walked out of playing football at USC with 3 college degrees. And degrees are not end game by any means, but they do give you ammunition to leverage in your life. And so in this video, I want to give you guys, specifically talking to college athletes, and I'm going to talk about the subject through the lens of a guy who was on a full ride scholarship. So I'm aware that not everyone has that luxury. A lot of guys are walk-ons. I was a football player. Different sports have different opportunities. But I think if you are a college student athlete or have aspirations to be a college student athlete, this video is worthwhile to watch. I'm not a nerd, I'm not a kiss ass, but I understood the rules of the game and tried to leverage the opportunities I had. So in the event that my college career didn't work out according to plan, like it did, that I would at least have some other things to, and I don't say fall back on, I hate that term, but some other things to use in the next chapter of my life. So check out this video, 6 tips for student athletes to achieve academic success.
Nice job again by Browne.
Browne, you're making it look easy.
Being very careful with the right arm.
It all comes down to self-awareness and perspective.
Tip number 1, or step number 1, is go to class and turn in the work. It sounds so basic, you'd be surprised how many guys get bogged down by this one step. I know you'd rather play video games than go to class, but it's just a slippery slope. You start skipping 1 class, then it leads to 2, then it leads to 3, then it leads to you dropping the class, then it leads you to dropping 2 classes, then it leads to you being a semester behind, all that stuff. Just go to class and turn in the work. I'll never forget, I had lunch on my recruiting visit with Matt Barkley, and he told me a story, and this was in 2011, and he was a good student, but he's like, bro, the recipe's simple. Just go to class and turn in the work. That is like pillar 1, get that done. I know at times it's not the most exciting thing. At times you might be falling asleep in certain subjects, but get yourself a venti Starbucks coffee, wake your ass up, go to class, turn in the work, you have the time. I know student athletes are busy, but it always feels like you find a way to carve out 6 hours of video games or 6 hours of Netflix. Carve out 2 of those Netflix video game hours and go to class. They're not asking you to get 95, 98% A's in each class. They're asking you to just do the work. Step number 2 is don't drop classes. I've seen so many of my teammates over the years drop classes because the subject was too hard, or drop classes because they failed the first midterm, or they thought the subject was too hard, or the class was super boring, or the time sucked. A lot of those factors that are the reason you're dropping the class are factors that you know before you're signing up for the class. When I sign up for astronomy GE, I know it's gonna be an absolute battle. It's not gonna be my favorite subject, but you gotta get it done eventually. There are certain classes you have to take, so do whatever you can to not drop classes for twofold. 1, it's a lot of money. At SC, a class is $7,000. That's the beauty of going to a private school education in Southern California, but it's $7,000. You drop a class, you are throwing $7,000 in the trash. And the second reason is for something that I leveraged in my athletic career later on, but it's the idea of getting done with your undergrad as fast as you can so you can get into your grad program. So you can get into your master's program and walk out of college with 2 or with 3 degrees. And oh, by the way, if you're in the grad transfer market, which I know is different for each sport, grad transfer market is a huge thing in college football like I played. I grad transferred to Pittsburgh. The faster you get done, the more leverage you have on the back end to say, hey coach, I could leave and go to a new school and play elsewhere right now. And so the faster you get done, the more leverage you have. In my specific career, I could have left right after my redshirt sophomore season. That Christmas, I could have left and gone to a different school and had 2 full years of eligibility because I didn't drop classes. You squeeze as many units as you can in, and it's not like I'm taking 6 classes during the fall during football season. No, I'm just taking the normal load throughout the year, taking a little bit more in the summer. That's another kind of sub tip. but just take as many units as they'll let you. Don't drop classes. You drop one class, it makes it easier to drop a second class, and before you know it, you're a semester delayed in your graduation date, which then delays the idea of getting a grad degree. And yes, dropping classes, some guys need that, right? Some guys struggle with school. I'm not naive to that fact, but by and large, don't drop classes just so you can go hang out. Take advantage of the system and do what you can to not drop classes and take advantage of every unit that they are paying for, or if you're paying for it on your own, just don't waste your money. The third tip I have is ask for help. This is something that everyone's gonna go into college with a different background, right? A different level of how they were raised academically. But everyone across the board, if they don't get a subject, they can ask for help. This is something that, hey, I played football at a big time school. There were tutors available for me to have. I was very fortunate enough to have that. So I am talking through a certain lens. I know not every college is gonna have that accessibility to tutors and to help, but I do know there are a lot of resources across the board at different schools to help people out. For me, Spanish was the death of me. I hated Spanish. It was hard. Spanish 1, Spanish 2, Spanish 3. You had to take all 3 levels at USC. It was the death of me. And you better believe, even before I signed up for the damn class, I was going to my advisor saying, hey, give me the first Spanish tutor you can get. I need that help. I need that help. So don't be afraid to ask for help. If you're struggling to ask for help, I would push you on a little reality check there. Is that because there maybe is a little ego involved? I'm not sure. Just know you're not alone. People struggle with school. It's totally normal. It's totally normal if you're behind, but it's just stupid to not ask for help, then fall behind even further, get yourself even farther behind the 8 ball, and then it's just a tough road to go down. So don't go down that road. There are people in place to help you get down the right academic path. Ask for help, put your ego aside. Don't be Mr. Mighty, say, I can get it done, and then drop the class 3 weeks later or fail the class 3 months later. Ask for help when you need it. Tip number 4, this is my favorite one because the first 3, they're kind of common sense, right? Like, okay, Max, I got you. But this 4th one is not something everyone talks about or thinks about. If you don't know your major, which is most people when they come into school, especially athletes, because that's just not how they're wired, right? Sport has kind of taken priority in their life. You go into college, you don't know your major. Take all your GEs first, all your gen ed classes, the classes that no matter what major you have to get them done, take them first. I was so thankful I did this because what it does is there was 6 GEs at USC. I think the system has changed since, but 6 GEs, that's a full semester, and for me, that was summer school. I had to be around SC for summer school, being out there and training. So that was 8 months in time that I was a college student that I could sit back and kind of see, ooh, I might want to do that. Ooh, let me have a conversation. Ooh, what major is that? Ooh, I didn't even know that major existed. All those type of things. I had 8 months while I was in college to kind of figure it out while I wasn't wasting time because I was gonna have to take those GEs anyways. I was gonna have to take those 6 classes anyways. So why not take them all on the front end while you kind of mentally figure out, okay, this is the major I think I wanna go down. And then 8 months down the road, then you can start taking classes towards your major and you didn't lose any time. This is something I'm big on. Save your electives for the back end because the back end of your career is likely when you're gonna be playing the most. So how awesome would it be to take all electives in the fall when you're playing football rather than it's the back end of your career, you're a senior, you're starting, and you have to take like core classes to get your degree done. No one wants to do that. Take the hard stuff up front, save the electives for the back end for both athletic purposes, and then it just gives you more flexibility if you do change your major and you need to maybe fill in one of those elective classes with a more substantial class. Gives yourself flexibility, helps yourself out. Take your GEs up front. And my 5th tip for student athletes to achieve academic success is dig your well before you're thirsty. What do I mean by that? You know who the decision makers are. And it's gonna be different with whatever school you're at and whatever your goals are ultimately. But for me, I'm sitting there in 2014 as a redshirt freshman football-wise. I've got a good chunk of my degree done and I'm kind of like, all right, flash forward about a year or so, a year from now, grad school is gonna be right around the corner. All right, what do I want to do? That is coming. That will happen. At the pace I'm on, I will go to grad school at some point, so I should probably prep for that. I don't want to just fall into a random degree that I have no interest on just because that's the easiest grad program to get into. No, if they're going to pay for it, let's make the most of it, because so often in any walk of life, you see people go back at 27, at 29, at 31, at 51, shout out Cheryl Browne getting her CPA in her 50s. They go back to grad school because they realize, oh wow, I need these credentials. Well, even if you're, I started grad school at 20 or 21. Even if you're that young, they're paying for it. Take advantage of it. Prep ahead. For me, that decision was, hey, I probably want my MBA. Getting a master's in business administration felt like, one, the most interesting thing to me. That was an area that I wanted to grow in. And then two, from my perspective, that was the most beneficial in terms of worthwhile, effective degrees that could help my life out down the road. And so, like I said, my like redshirt freshman year, I'm thinking, all right, like how do I make this MBA happen? And there was a couple guys at SC that had done MBAs and played football before, but they were older than me. The blueprint hadn't really necessarily been set. And so I set up meetings with people that could move the needle forward. I met with the director of the program. I was fortunate enough to get a meeting with the dean of the business school. And I literally was like, hey, this is something I'm interested in. I want to have this conversation earlier rather than later, just to see what I can do to help my stance to make this happen. And they were excited that I was having this meeting, having this conversation, but they were even more excited because they could do something. I was a year out from starting grad school. They had time to help me out. If you go to someone 2 weeks before a decision needs to be made, or 2 months before a decision needs to be made, they're gonna be like, well, there's not enough time, the decision window's too tight, I'm sorry. And it's not that they're bad people, it's just that, I mean, they got jobs, they got responsibilities to do. But if you get to them a year beforehand because you know what's coming down the pipeline, they can help you out. They can talk to their people. They can say, like a Dean Ellis told me, hey, you need a math class. Max, you don't have any math classes, go take a math class. That will help things out. Little things like that, because you know what's coming down the pipeline. Don't be kicking yourself when your sport ends and you become 35 years old and realize, I wanna go back to school. And dang, I could have done that while I was playing. Instead, now I have 2 little kids. Now I'm trying to go to grad school late at night. Gosh, I wish I would have used that system more. Not saying I'm perfect, not saying I have like all the answers, but that is something that you can just see play out with some of these student athletes. And the 6th and final tip I have for you is less of a tip and more of an alert, I guess you could say. And this is gonna differ depending on the school you have or the sport you're playing, but this strikes a chord with me, so take from it what you want. And that is knowing that the leverage is on your side. When you're in it, when you're a student athlete, the leverage is on your side. Your academic program wants to promote your success. They want to see you succeed. They want to see you do cool things because it helps them. They can promote what you did academically. They can promote that, hey, look at this student athlete, look at what he's doing. That makes the school look good. And oh, by the way, if you go like do something with that degree, you better believe they're gonna promote that. So the leverage is on your side, especially to my point prior. If you give the decision makers lead time to help you out, you better believe they're gonna wanna do things to help you because they're good people. They wanna see you succeed. But as a school as a whole, you better believe it helps them too. In my personal scenario, think about it from the school's perspective. I know I only started 3 games at SC, but imagine the storyline that they could have leveraged on their end by saying, check out our starting quarterback, Max Browne. We're going to a Rose Bowl. He's our starting quarterback. And oh, by the way, he's getting his MBA from the Marshall School of Business, one of the best business schools in the country. Like, that's something that's a win-win for both sides. So the leverage is on your side. And I don't say that to be cocky or arrogant. I just say that so people can kind of, I guess, wake up to how the game is played. And if you're a student athlete watching this, try to take whatever I'm saying and leverage to your own academic, athletic journey at your given school. Those are the 6 steps, but I want to close with one final point, and that is, I know degrees by no means are make or break. Just because you have a piece of paper doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna have success, you're gonna get the dream job, you're gonna have the life you always dreamed of or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is if they are making you go anyway, and especially for guys that are in my scenario where they're paying for your education, you might as well take advantage of the system. Because for a guy like me who had a failed college athletic career, I'm sitting here at 25 right now with some tools in my toolbox, some things that I can leverage. And I don't know where life's gonna take me, but I'll always have those degrees to fall back on. So by no means are degrees make or break, but they certainly help. I think we live in a world now where we love complaining about the NCAA and how much the NCAA sucks and all that stuff, and student athletes are getting scammed. There's a lot of truth to that. I'm not against that, that's fair, but there are a lot of resources at play that you can take advantage of if you are a student athlete. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I push you to just make the most of your time there. And I was still a guy that had fun. I had a social life and all that, but there are hours in the day to get what you need to get done on the school side to set yourself up for a better life down the road. So if you like this video, I'd appreciate a like. If you have no idea who I am and this is the first time you're listening to me speak, I share messages of this sort on my various social channels. So follow me there. I'll link them below in the description. And if you want to be sure you don't miss any of my future content, be sure to subscribe down below. But I thank you for checking this out. Let me know if you have a 7th or 8th. Did I miss out on anything? What would you say? Let me know in the comments. Would love to chop it up with you guys there. Looking forward to the next video. Really appreciate you watching.